I think the proper way to start this second SEO happy hour is actually to present drinks that we are drinking. So, Lydia, you can start first because it's a very, how I'd say, like, I'm first time I'm hearing your drink. So, yeah, please share your.
So I'm having sparkling water with mango, ginger, and cayenne.
Yeah, that's exotic, right?
It is exotic.
Yeah. So I will go second. So I'm drinking a beer. Uh, it's not sponsored, so I don't want to show it. So yeah, what else we have here?
I'm drinking chamomile tea.
Nice.
It's very nice, but not as good as beer. Or Lydia's drink, which sounds really good. It's still nice.
Yeah, I love the Billy's comments, all the superfoods in Lydia's drink. Yeah, I was like, is it like from the menu?
I mean, it
Nice.
comes from a can, so non-sponsor
Um,
as well.
yeah.
Nicks and Kicks. I think they grab like vegetables that are like not fit for like showing it or selling it in store. Oh my God, Adriana Stein just dropped out. I was so excited to talk to her.
All right. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. As I mentioned, this is like the second SEO happy hour. I'm Adriana Vujadin, SEO manager and coach for SEO professionals. So this is my goal to have a platform where all SEO successful women can share their SEO journey, share any kind of SEO challenge they had, like from which they are grown. And that is a goal to actually prevent for the future can say generations because like I'm not sure like if I'm old or not, but yeah, really we really want to help other SEO people who are maybe facing this challenge now or prevent so they know how to handle these kinds of specific situation in the future. So I'm very grateful for Lydia uh, for having her today. When I was talking with her, like I was so inspired, like the with the attitude she has and like with the story she has. So she now has been grown like in a successful SEO woman. So thank you so much, Lydia, for joining. And a floor is yours. Please tell us your SEO journey.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I was like so impressed with the quality of your questions when we first spoke. Um, we discussed like my journey into SEO, and one of the first things that I think that explains the journey into SEO was I was studying psychology in university, and I was working a small job, just taking care of like children after hours, helping them do their homework. It was like a government job, um, and obviously that ended during the summer. So I was actually just looking for like a bartender little side gig thing before my job with the government restarted, right? So I went to like send some CVs places. Imagine this, like huge unemployment crisis in Spain. People in my age range, I believe the unemployment rate was 75%. Like it was really, really crazy. It was quite impossible thinking of getting a job. But I threw my CV into the window of a pub that should have been open but was closed at the time. So I was like, where are you not open? I'm coming from so far. Um, and the head of marketing at the chain of pubs called me, and she had like my CV like flattened out onto her desk, but it was still like crumbled. And she said that because I was coming from a psychology background, she thought I'd be good for her marketing department. And I was like, yeah, I just want a job, so I'll do it. So I started this job in PR and events and brand partnerships. And I was doing some website management, and I got really into marketing. It felt so tangible to go from action to numbers, right? I'd be like, I know how we can increase our social media followers. Let me try this thing. And then they would increase, and I'd be like, yay, I have value as a person. So that's kind of how I navigated into the world of marketing. Then these pubs closed because we were too loud and there were too many like drug Brits at the door, and we were no longer allowed to be open in the public. So I had to find another job and I went, tried different things. But again, marketing drew me back in. I applied for a PPC position in an international clothing personalization retailer, and they got me. They said, like, yeah, this lady is in because I had some experience with analytics. So I started working in PPC for like a bunch of like a brand that worked in like Italy and France and Portugal and the Netherlands, Finland, and I had to do PPC in languages that I didn't speak. So I had to get really good at data analysis and have my own little processes to put all of those campaigns out, which was actually my very first Brighton SEO talk was based on that methodology for doing keyword research in a language you don't speak. And I was sitting next to our like webmaster, we called it a webmaster at the time, and his little developer. And we had a WordPress implementation. So I was seeing them do WordPress and do custom builds of things. And this was a part-time job while I was still studying in university. And I decided that I wanted to have my own website. I got together with a few friends and we started a feminist magazine. It was a collaborative magazine, so anyone could like sign up to our WordPress and submit a post. So we had tons of volume. And because feminism was very in at the time in the media discourse in Spain, we went very big, very fast. We had like over 100,000 followers by the time that like I stepped out of the magazine. And we ended up building 35,000 links to it, which was intense. Um, This was 2015-ish. So Facebook was cutting traffic to publishers, and I had this little widget underneath my like in my WordPress dashboard that said what keywords people had been coming into my website from. And because we were losing traffic because of the Facebook changes in their algorithm, I decided, oh, look, people are looking for information and are landing on these pages that are more like stories than information. So let me just make information that's reliable, and these women who are looking for resources on identifying an abusive relationship or getting out of one or helping their friends out of one can find those resources. And then like this site just exploded from an SEO perspective. I started tweaking and editing and I was having so much fun. And one day I got a DM on Twitter from like an account that had an anime profile picture, and I thought, this is us. Like this is either someone about to send me a dick pic or I don't know. Turns out it was the editorial director of Spain's biggest magazine publisher, and they are huge. And I used to aspire to someday in my life work there. So the editorial director invited me in for a chat. I came in and I left there as the editor-in-chief for their wellness magazines. But I was like 22. I was terrified. I thought they had made a gigantic mistake. I was like, like me? Like, are you sure that you mean me? Did you mean someone else? It was a very high paying job for what I had at the time. In fact, it would still be a pretty good salary in Spain, because salaries in Spain are actually not amazing. But it was my first serious job. I was so scared of fucking it up. Not of fucking it up. I was scared of being found out that I was not worthy of the job, right? Um, and I had very, very few skills, very, very few ideas of how an actual corporate job worked. Because the retail company that I had been working at before that was very familiar. And the chain of pubs that I was at before was very, very informal. Like it was a chain of pubs. It was like run by a Irish guy and another guy who had been on an Erasmus to Ireland and was like, "Yay, what's the crack?" or whatever you say. Um, so that is when the actual like toxic relationship. I had a very toxic manager. I actually had a nightmare with her after our meeting. So it's still present. The trauma is real, but I didn't know at the time. And now looking back, I could have done so many things differently to get a clearer idea of what was expected of me, what was the KPI, and how to actually achieve it.
Let's talk about this, because I really see that like a lot of people are facing this on daily level. Like these feelings are the same for everyone.
Yeah.
So if you want to elaborate a little bit more, like how was your like daily job? Like what kind of feelings you had?
Yeah. So I had an array of tasks, right? Somebody gave me a budget. It was like 2,000 euros or 3,000 euros per month. And I was like, wow, I have so much money to spend. Um, Again, it was my first corporate job. And I had to decide where it went, what's the content we were going to be producing. I had to put it on the CMS and edit it and put it on social media and make the social media strategy and make the requests and briefs for images for other people and the briefs for the articles of the bloggers that we had. I also had to do something that I found really stupid at the beginning. Um, we had the magazine cover, which was basically the homepage, and the homepage, for the most part, you should be able to automate it. But I had to like manually change every single piece on the homepage every day. And I would tell my managers, no one's going to the homepage. Like, look at my analytics. 10 people are coming here per day. Like, there's no recurring people that are going to find out that actually this is the same homepage as yesterday and decide that they don't want to keep reading. But because we came from like a what I called a paper mentality at the time, it was when faced with the dilemma of done or perfect, it had to be perfect because they come from print, right? They thought about like the 30,000 reviews, something needs to go through before it gets printed on paper and you can never change it again. But I came from digital. And to me, going through five reviews to see if the copy on an Instagram story had any misspellings was dumb. And it was really, really frustrating for me at the time. But I think what I struggled with a lot was the vagueness around what I was supposed to accomplish. So there was a complete separation between the people who dealt with the numbers and the people who dealt with the content. At some point, the people on the like on the writer's floor were removed the access to our sales numbers and our ad sales numbers. We could kind of tell where our ad sales were at because they were either in print or not. But we wouldn't know like how many magazines had sold or what was like the public opinion on the magazine. But because my role was in digital, I of course had Google Analytics and Google Search Console and SEMrush. I also had SEMrush at the time to figure out like what is going on and what articles are more popular, what articles are less popular. So there never was a chat, and now I think that's one of the first things that I would have done. Sit down, have a chat about what is expected of me. What does good look like? When are you going to be happy? When is this a good job? I felt, from my perspective, my numbers, that I did an amazing job. We went from like 10,000 page views per month to millions. I think we actually did 5 million at some point at the time. Like that's by any amount, like by any stretch of the imagination, very, very successful. And we launched new products like a little store where we would sell courses and menus and that kind of stuff. And we launched a newsletter. So we were doing, by my mental KPIs, we were doing amazing, right? So I'd come to my boss, be like, oh my God, we've grown by 30% this month, which makes me think, wow, SEO, but it was easy back then. I kind of miss those times. I'd be like, oh my God, we're growing by 20% every month. And this month we've grown 30%. We're doing so well. And she'd be like, okay, go back to your desk. You've got stuff to do, don't you? I was like, a little praise would be nice. But yes, I do have stuff to do. Let me go back to my desk. Um, we also had a meeting that was like completely humiliating and horrible where I had put out an article. One of the magazines that I had one magazine on wellness and nutrition, one on psychology and feminism, and one on like motherhood and raising children. So the one on psychology and feminism, we had a writer who was like an extremely famous, amazing, I have still a crush on her writer. And I linked out to some of her other work within the content. And she called a meeting to say, we're having a problem with some people putting links on the website. I was the only person who worked on the website. So the problem was me. Like, she brought in like the 10 writers and designers. We sat there around a table. We have a problem. And I don't know how many more times I have to say it. Maybe somebody should write it down. There's no links on the website. And I'm like, A, that's dumb. B, that's never said that before. 3, everybody knows you're talking about me, and I'm only 22 and I'm very scared right now.
And
And I think
what did you tell them in that moment?
I cried.
Literally?
I cried. So imagine like a really open floor, and there is a big table that people go to for like quick 10 minutes meetings or to review like mini versions of the magazine on print to see if it visually flows or not. Okay. And this was like a fucking public table. And I was about like maybe 3 months at the job at most. And I thought that was I thought that was normal. I thought like maybe she did tell me. Later on, like I understood that she had been gaslighting me because she also said that some deadlines were there that weren't. I tried to manage it by like sending emails to recap all of our meetings, but yeah, she had not made that a policy. This was not a written policy. This wasn't anywhere. I did ask her like, "Oh, and where is it written?" And like between tears, I was trying to be like, "Where does it say that I can't click anywhere?" And she'd be like, "Oh, you need me to show you that as well?" And I was like, "Okay, there's some database that maybe it's too late to ask about." There wasn't. It was just shit. I'm to this day I still wonder like what the fuck, did she hate me personally, or did she hate me because I was a young woman in there? She did seem to have like a little bit of contempt for people who were young. Um, but yeah, it was a pretty damn horrible experience. Um, I was very siloed, so like because this was extremely hierarchical, everything needed a very long and thorough approval process. So for example, the Instagram story example is one of my favorite and craziest. And when I had to put out an Instagram story, I would have to like request it as a project, then it would trickle down from the art director to the design director to the head of design to the designer to me to the designer to the head of design to the design director to the art director. I kid you not, it took a month. So if I knew that I wanted to post a story for like mental health day, I had to get started 2 months in advance just to do the trickle down and trickle up, right? Um, but you know, that's a process thing. And it was, I could have like you can fight for it, but I had like more pressing things on my plate. I was saying earlier that I had a budget of 3,000. She kind of like hired somebody to kind of do my job as a freelancer and paid them my entire budget. So I had like no freedom and no choice over what was going to happen to the magazine. So all I had was like our weekly bloggers and our magazine archive. The magazine had been going on for like 20 years, so I had so much archive. And we had like all the magazines physically in there because before they started saving PDFs, I don't know how they printed it, but we only had like the magazines and I would have to scan them and then like do the text recognition to actually extract the text from there. But it was really tricky. And I feel like I could have advocated for myself so much better now. Nobody ever should speak to you, like should make a meeting to humiliate you. And I did not know how to voice that. Or I didn't know that it wasn't my fault or that it wasn't okay, right?
Yeah.
It was a very intense time.
These thoughts that you had, were they like, this is wrong? Or I need to do more.
I need to do more. My thoughts were, I fucked up. Not, this is not an okay way to treat a person, right? And we would have like all of these big projects that were not well defined and had basically no deadlines. The deadlines were either right now or maybe in a year, right? So you really struggle to prioritize. Yeah, it's just having been a manager now, I'm quite like shocked that that's something someone who manages others thought it was okay. I try to manage with clarity. I think transparency is very important when you have a team. I try for everybody to know if they're doing well. If they're not doing well, I will be very clear with that, but I don't let them assume that they're doing well unless I say otherwise, right? Every time that I get a deliverable, for example, right now, instead of having an in-house team, I have a team of freelance writers. Every time I get a deliverable in, I'll do a first edit and I'll look at the piece versus the brief. I'll look at the piece on its own, and I will have good things to say, and I will have actionable feedback. But I won't just have like, ugh, maybe start over, ugh, try again. And my writers know what good looks like. Good looks like deliver it on the deadline. If it's not on the deadline, that's not a problem as long as you let me know at the beginning of the week, right? One of the writers that I work with is ghostwriting for for my internal experts, right? And they know that they have to replicate the tone of voice. And we've been working together on achieving the desired result because this is a new program. So I need to figure out exactly what I want. They need to figure out exactly how to do it. And together we need to figure out exactly how to get to the desired results. But I would say I'm very direct and transparent, and I try to provide what the team needs. There's this guy who's one of my writers. Shout out Eric. Hi. You're not here, but hi. Um, he can write his own briefs. I'll be like, oh, I'm wondering, maybe we should have a landing page for so and so. And he's like, here's the brief. That's exactly in the format that you use your briefs. It's in, get it approved internally. I'm already working on the page. And then he'll send me the content, the proposed illustrations, and a Figma file for my stakeholders to review it better. And I'm like, you are a blessed human being. I'm never letting you go.
We want Eric too.
No, he's mine.
We will see. We can fight.
I know. One time I tweeted about him. I was like, I have the most amazing copywriter. I'm not gonna tell you his name because you're gonna hire him from me. And he was like, I would never leave you. And I'm like, people would be willing to pay like a lot. We already pay him a lot. And I'm not gonna say it. I would pay him more. Now I can't send him this video. They wouldn't let me pay you more, Eric. Don't ask for it. So yeah, he's amazing. My team of writers are amazing. And we've gotten to amazing together, right? If they don't know what I want and they provide something that I don't want, it's up to me to turn that into something better, help them turn it into something better rather than just, what is this piece of content?
Yeah, it's a blessing when you have that kind of manager who is very direct, like straightforward, so you can also be straightforward and direct with them.
Yeah.
But in a lot of cases you don't have. And then like if you are pushing that kind of like direction, like you're feeling, oh, is it like too much? So I really
Yeah.
want to encourage people to have that direct communication. Like doesn't matter the issue, because like if you're just waiting to happen something, like it's better to resolve that like now than just like waiting 5 months or like even a year and then get that response like as a no, or like we are so
Yeah.
afraid of this kind of like no's. Even they will help us like say that no so I can move on and then I can fast like even like grow in my career and everything. But like people are so afraid of asking something that they really want, or if they have some kind of issue. So
Yeah.
what would you would you do like now differently, like ask like, hey, what are our KPIs, like how our SEO success look like?
Yeah. I would say I would probably have a conversation like, what does success look like in this role? If there is no trust, I would keep the second question to myself, but I would then say like, what does success look like in your role? Because if I can help you tell the story of your success, we can succeed together, right? You can take me with you on your success journey. I would try to understand the preferred communication style that she had, because the communication style that I had and hers, they did not work together. The way that I would come to things, the way that I would communicate things is like, this is the problem. And then I would have the solution. But she's only heard the problem. In her mind, she's already working on a solution. She's not interested in what I'm bringing. I should have brought in, here's a solution to a problem that we found. You okay for me to go ahead? I would also try to find where are the edges of my autonomy, right? This is something that I've actually struggled with like my whole career, and I have a clearer idea now because I have much better documented processes. But like, to what extent can I change this blog post title if the CEO wrote it, right? Like, maybe not so much. But if it's a search-led blog post title, be my guest, go ahead, change whatever. Where was I going with this? I lost myself. So
Yeah,
I would
what would
I
be
remember that one of the very few things that I actually did that managed to impact my relationship with her in a positive way was to stop bringing her problems and not even bring her solutions. Like, go ahead and do it. If it's never on her desk, she's better off. Like, I don't know. She didn't want to see me. She did not enjoy our one-to-ones. We also didn't have scheduled one-to-ones. I had to like book them ad hoc. I would request scheduled one-to-ones to go over either like career development or tasks, prioritization. At the end of the day, my projects were sort of well defined. Well, my BAU was very well defined, my business as usual, the day-to-day tasks of the roles. But the projects that would come in had no clear owner of anything. So like, oh yeah, we're gonna create a list of famous psychologists. Who's that? Is that me? Is that you? Is that him? Like, who's making the list? And when are we looking at it? And when do you want it? So, better project management skills at the time would have been a game changer for me. But I think what would have been the biggest game changer would have been my mindset. Just going in there, knowing that I belonged in there, that I was actually worthy of that role would have been a game changer for sure.
Yeah,
Can I ask?
because sure.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I wonder if potentially having that negative experience can contribute to you building that mindset, or whether you think that actually, you know, the environment that you're providing for your team that's much more supportive will help them get there kind of faster or slower. I'm just curious what you think about that.
As in, like, the negative experience allows me to go into like a more positive mindset, or
Yeah.
it put me in
Did
my
that
head
help you
in the
get
negative.
faster? Did
No,
that help you? No. Okay.
no, having her kind of like single me out like that, I would say set me back a bunch in what I thought I was capable of doing, which is why I would never do it to my team, because there's no point in making your team less effective because you have not regulated your emotions correctly before giving feedback, right?
Yeah, sure.
In the first glance, like this negative experience, you're just like dropping down.
Oh yeah.
And then after a few months and like years, depending on the person and personality, if you take the ownership that you will like be responsible for your role and like take that next step, then you are growing from that experience. But yeah, in the first glance, especially if you are afraid, if you are new, if you are lacking of confidence, then it's just like dropping and like you're just being frustrated, stressed, overwhelmed. But
Yeah.
that's a good thing. Like after a while, if you have like the mindset, you will actually grow faster from that experience because like I did this.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, and I know from my own experience, sometimes when you have a difficult working environment or a bad manager, it makes you much clearer on what you want to be as a manager, so that when you've got a team, it helps you kind of with that development. So it's a horrible experience at the time, but it's kind of trying to take the positives from that in terms of I've learned what I definitely don't want to do, and that makes it a lot clearer for, my progression and then their progression as well.
Yeah.
Sure. It's an age thing as well, because I know that you said that you were young when this happened. And if that happened to you now, would you handle it differently just because you're older?
Yeah, of course. I guess, yeah, having lived more years and living in the world as a proper adult, not just like a young adult, people treat you differently, and it contributes to me feeling like a sense of like belonging, in a sense of like, yeah, of course I belong at the table. Like, of course I'm here. Of course I'm an expert, right? I would not, definitely not tolerate somebody behaving that way. I'd probably not say anything on the meeting. Definitely not cry, because I'd be more upset, like more angry than the feeling that I had was like, oh my God, they realized that it was a mistake hiring me and that I'm actually an imposter and I don't belong here. It confirmed my worst fears. But because that's not my internal narrative anymore, if somebody comes and tries to put me down like that, I'd probably be feeling very differently about it.
And when Lydia, when we had that initial call, I remember I was also triggered by your story because when I started as a SEO consultant, like my project lead was like, whatever I would like to ask, and she's like, you are a consultant, you should know. And now, since we are both managers, do you remember that we were talking how we are maybe even like overprotective to our team because we don't want to actually our team have the same feelings as we had when we started. So
Yeah, I had a client once that was mean to somebody in my team, and I did not have that. I was like, Subin, no, don't interrupt her. Actually, name of the person, you can leave the meeting now. I'll continue with this meeting. And then she left, and I was like, that's not a tolerable way to speak to my team. I'll continue with this meeting. I'll let her know, and we'll decide what we do, whether she is going to be your point of contact or I'll be. But yeah, like, absolutely the fuck not. I'm very, very protective of the people that I work with and the people that I'm responsible for. Because when you are trusted with somebody's well being for their work time, you have to be so careful. You have to know that like 50% of their happiness depends on you. So if you're having a bad day, when you log into your computer in the morning, have a check in with yourself and be like, am I having a bad day? Yes. Is this something work related that I can fix? No. Then I know it, accept my feelings, and I'm aware of them so that I don't bring them onto my team. But I think being a manager requires a lot of self-awareness and a lot of empathy.
Did you get any kind of training or support to find out about that? Because I think manager training is one of those things that not enough people do. And the agency that I work for didn't have it when I joined. It's something that we ended up pushing for, but it came to me a couple of years after I started managing people, all of, self-awareness and emotional regulation that just wasn't taught. Was that something you were taught, or is that no?
No, I've just been going to therapy for many years. Yeah, no, it was never taught. We also didn't have a program to like upskill managers. If you were very good at your job and showed some leadership, you became a manager, right? Agency life. but we didn't really have that. And I didn't really know how attached I would become to my team and how much I would fucking care for them until I actually became a manager. And it was actually kind of like a surprise to me. They were like, your department is dissolved. Now you have a new department, 3 hires, goodbye. And I was like, yep, fine. We'll make it happen somehow.
And since how many people you are managing? I think you mentioned like few of them, right?
At the time, it was 3 people that were like an in-house team. And right now, I'm just managing freelance creators, not
Mhm.
actual team members. But I'm pretty sure we're the main client for many of them. So I still treat them as if they were my team, just with a lot less entitlement to their time because they're not full time. They're just on an hourly work basis. Yeah.
But definitely you want to make sure like they are happy, fulfilled, that they are staying with your team. So what would you recommend, for example, Emily or other managers, like um, little advices like what managers can do?
I would say it's entirely personalized to the people that you're managing. So some people might like public praise. Some people would hate public praise. Some people like you to be very specific with your feedback. Some people like you to help them, like let them figure it out a little better. So the way that I do it with my team, this copywriter that I was telling you about, Eric, um, he knows he's amazing. I tell him he's amazing. Sometimes I tweet he's amazing. I remind him like, wow, what a legend. Like, it's crazy that you're so fast. There's no notes on this piece. It's gonna go like straight up, like online. Congratulations. Um, there's another writer that appreciates feedback a little bit less, especially like the constructive feedback. Um, so I mix it in with positive feedback. Um, and because I know that feedback gets him in like a bad mindset and a negative mindset, I try to make my feedback somewhere that gives him like the freedom to find his own solution, but that it's clear enough that he can just take my suggestion and run with it if he's not in the mindset to sit and actually have like a profound thought about what we're gonna do next. I try to make sure that they're well compensated. It's quite unlikely that somebody would be paying some of them more because we're paying quite top dollar because we want top talent and we know that everybody wants top talent. So they could leave if somebody else pays them more. Um, but I also make sure that it's nice working with me and they're not just they're I contact them as much as they want to. They want to chat. Like one of them left at some point and then came back. And one of the reasons that he left was he didn't want to be having one-to-ones every week. These one-to-ones, I inherited them from the person that managed them before, and I just kept them. I could have kept them on for the entire time if I had just said to this person, do these one-to-ones work for you? They don't really work for me, but if this is what you need, I'm happy to keep having them. And he would have said, fuck no, I don't want to be waking up at this time to chat to you about absolutely nothing. I don't want to have these one-to-ones. And I'll be like, one-to-ones of the agenda, we are done. So yeah, I guess asking them what they need and how it's going. Being
Yeah.
a human with them.
And I love that actually you mentioned that feedback because there is a misconception about the feedback. And we really need to educate like people that feedback is not like negative or like positive. It's just like feedback. And the feedback has the meaning and like impact to just like take whatever is useful for you. And like that's it.
Yeah.
If you just to kind of practice whenever you are getting any kind of feedback, take what is useful for you so you can reach your next goal. But there is a so kind of like negative tendency about the feedback. And then like people are trying to make it nicer, saying like constructive feedback, and like people are getting like, no.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But also ask your manager for what you need of them. My manager and I have a very interesting relationship. I really like her. She's a very good manager. She just lets me run with my projects. Um, she is very positive about most of the stuff that I do. And we were having a one-to-one a couple of hours before this. Um, I was like, I have my vision for Q3, and I have like this other project to update you on. What do you want to go with? She's like, Q3 vision. I'm like, done. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. She's happy with it. She adds some tasks to it. And then I say, okay, now looking at my vision for Q3, what in here are we going to make my professional development project? Like, which one of these is going to make me better editor, a better content strategist, and a better communicator and collaborator with leadership? Because I'm trying to grow into a head of content leadership position. She knows it, even though she's the head of content. And I'm like, you go up and then I go up and we all go up. You can have a raise. I can have a raise. Everyone's
Oh,
happy.
good.
Yeah, right. Um, so yeah, it was quite direct. Like, what do I have to do to continue leveling up? I don't want to be the same professional at the end of Q3 that I am right now. I want to be better at leadership, better at communication. And what other gaps do you think there are? So she added another project to my things. And if I hadn't asked and if I wasn't constantly seeking feedback, I wouldn't be getting it. And people who don't ask their managers or are not clear with their managers about what their next step looks like or if they're motivated about a next step are not going to get it, right? Imagine we are in a very similar team and she has two of me, right? But the other one of me doesn't have my personality. She's just like, hi, I did this job. These are my tasks. This is my vision, and asks for nothing.
And these are my problems.
Yeah, exactly. Or these are my solutions, right? It's not really about the quality of the work. If we're doing the same quality work, same same scope of responsibilities, the person who's being clear with what they want and showing the initiative that they want to grow is the one that's going to be considered for promotions, exciting new projects, all that kind of stuff.
And I just love when you're saying about, yeah, I told her this, you grow up, I will grow up, I will take like your position, you go. But this is so hard. This is so hard to be direct.
Yeah.
And the base of the issue is actually fear. But also like what SEO, like people, I don't know, I would encourage them to understand, like, if you are just asking like, hey, I really want to get like SEO title, like, or I really want to be a head of content, there is no any issue because you will get the answer. Okay, you can be. Here are some tasks that we will achieve, and then you are getting the clear direction what you need to do to get that.
Yeah.
Or hey, we can't provide that title, or salary increase, doesn't matter, like any benefits, free Friday, or no, we can't provide you. And then like, you know, okay, this company can provide me something that I need. I'm going to apply for another jobs like where I will get. And like, that's it. It's simple. But yeah, fear.
And it's work, it's not personal, right? Like,
Yeah.
I would have been so sad if any of my team left me, but fortunately they didn't while I was managing a house team. But I would have understood. And if they were getting a better job with better pay, I would have been happy for them, right? And you're not bothering your manager by asking these questions or requesting guidance on how to grow in your career. It's literally their jobs. And the company needs to make time for that to happen because investing in your people is investing in like the main resource that your company has. Why wouldn't I want my team to be better, right? I think some people put some ego into it, like, oh no, because then they're gonna be better than me, right? That's fear.
Yeah.
If I'm making the team better, I become a better team manager just by practicing that skill. Am I worse at my job? No, it's got a different scope and a different set of skills. Instead of doing tech audits all day, I become really good at listening to what the team needs, and my team has the best retention. And then the company spends less money on recruitment, and we're more effective because we're happier.
And you are growing, your title is growing, your experience is growing, your fulfillment is growing. And
Yeah.
by asking these questions, you're actually helping your manager, because like sometimes managers are so busy, like they have some fires to like every day. And if you are actually providing that kind of like structure, hey, I really think that we need to have some kind of like structure as your junior people, as your managers, executives, like heads. Actually, you are helping. And then you are getting like what you want, and then like your manager is seeing you as a leader because like you're taking initiative.
Yeah. There's this anecdote that has kind of stuck with me, and it's a little bit like random, so bear with me. But I was in an improv class once, and we were giving an exercise where we were giving numbers from 1 to 10. And 1 was the highest authority, 10 was the lowest authority. And we were meant to represent a company where nobody knew the other person's number. We were meant to guess based on their behavior. And I was number 2. So I knew somebody was above me, but everybody else was below. And my embodiment of a leader at the time, I was like 15, okay? Was like, I was like very stuck up, and I was pretending to read a magazine. And when somebody would come and approach me, I'd be like, yes, no, continue reading the magazine. And there was this other girl who was like, okay, what's going on? We're gonna do that? Yeah, okay, we're gonna do it. Do you need help? I'll go help. What's up with there? You need help? What's happening? Um, and like half the class thought that she was, because then we had to guess what number each of us had. Everybody gave me a number 2, so I did the improv work well, even though I don't think I represented a very good leader. Um, and this girl who had the number 1, some people were putting her at number 10, some people were putting her at number 1, because they would say, yes, she's doing, and she's very involved, and she's asking, but she's leading. She's the one that's leading the most. And I think about this exercise sometimes because my attitude at work is very much, this needs to get done. I don't care that my job title is X or my salary is Y. Do we need an image and the designer is not available, but it needs to happen? I'm going on Canva, right? I don't care. I'll do it. I'll get my hands dirty. Do you need some writing workforce because your team is a little bit like low? No worries. Today I'm a copywriter, right? I'm getting things done and leading towards our common goal. I'm helping us all get to the common goal. I don't care that there's no job that's beneath me, right? I'm gonna do like some weird video editing with a tool that I've never used before, and it's not my job. Well, it is, or it isn't. I don't know. SEO is a weird world, right? I'm in charge of content operations, which means why not take care a little bit of content distribution? So I'm posting on Twitter, and that's my job. Am I a community manager? Not really. I'm a leader in my company because I believe in a shared goal and I will help any team to achieve it. I I don't know. I think no work is beneath anybody as long as we are all treated with respect and we are getting job satisfaction.
Yeah, because in this, like, you're becoming a figure that like other people are learning from you. Like, okay, if you don't know how to use this tool, like, let's go. We will take some time for learning.
Yeah.
If you see that like there is a gap, designers are busy, yeah, let's do this. And then like
Yeah.
people who are managing actually will pick up these skills, and they will become you one day, so you can grow and be ahead of.
But I was worried for a while. Like, oh, am I looking, is this too junior for me? Like, what's going on here? But nothing is, my salary is not too junior. My job title is not too junior. My satisfaction is not too junior. I'm getting us where we need to be with the resources that we have now. We're missing a designer. I'll be the designer. We're missing a copywriter. No worries. Getting it done matters more to me than just, I don't know, putting myself in an ivory tower because I want to be dream manager, right?
All right. So also, I really want to be very careful about your time and provide some value for the people who are here. So do we have any kind of questions related to this or Lydia's story, or maybe
Or my
even like-
skincare routine because I'm clearly glowing.
definitely, or drink,
I know, this is so tasty.
or any kind of maybe challenge that you are facing now, so we can discuss it. Yes, no? Yes.
Yeah, just I mean, it's more of a kind of general question around like imposter syndrome and how maybe you've kind of dealt with that over the years. And is it like there was one particular thing you did, or it's just like time has helped and experience and things, or yeah, it would be good to get some thoughts on that.
It never goes away. For me, it hasn't gone away. Like, I am here despite the imposter syndrome. I'm here thinking like, why are these women listening to me? I know absolutely nothing. But I'm still here. If you want to listen to me, that's up to you, right? I do it regardless of the imposter syndrome. In the end, nothing that I've done has helped. I don't know if there's something that you can do that will help. Just
it's reassuring
brave
to
it.
know. It's good. Okay, cool.
Literally, sometimes I look at myself and I think, who the fuck hired me?
And Claire, can you specify that specific thought of the imposter syndrome that you have? Just like one specific situation, like when you are thinking that you are not good enough.
I think for me, it's always when I push myself to the next level of my career. When I get there, I'm like, oh God, I've got to do this now. And I don't think I can and shouldn't be doing this. And it's always when there's a big change or I've just kind of leveled up. But I'm then like, oh no, actually I shouldn't be here.
It's not your responsibility to make that choice. It's the manager and hiring person. If they hired the wrong person, that's their fault, not yours. And if they hired you, they probably know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So basically, for example, you grown from one position to another one and you got some responsibilities, additionals, right?
For me at the moment, it's becoming a freelancer. But previously it has been like, yeah, when I've become like a manager or got a new job.
Okay, we can go with like becoming SEO manager.
Yeah.
So can you tell me the feelings when you are thinking that you are not good enough for a SEO manager? What kind of feelings you are having like every day?
I think, gosh, I think it was more just having the confidence to say sometimes, oh, I don't know the answer, and that's okay. Like you don't always know, do you? So that's fine. But at the start, I think I was like, I must know the answer to everything because now I'm a manager. And I guess just having like the authority to do it and be confident in the role. And just sometimes I suppose, but when you become more like expert, you kind of don't have the perspective on how much you've grown until you really look back at where you've been. And sometimes when you're doing stuff, you think, oh, I'm not sure like my work is that amazing or it's good enough. So yeah, I guess it's maybe just taking the time to be like, actually, no, you're fine. Okay.
Yeah. And can you find specific situation, like in the past, when you were thinking in the same way, but actually the result was like totally different?
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess maybe with like big client meetings where we maybe had like just won a new client and we were all quite like we wanted to, you know, make a really good impression in the initial onboarding phase. And we'd have a big meeting and maybe there'd be some kind of difficult questions or something. And at the end of the meeting, I'd be like, oh God, I really don't think that went very well. And then I'd ask my manager, oh, you know, was that okay? And they'd be like, yeah, it was amazing. But I had no like sense of whether it was okay or not.
And what would you say to yourself in that moment?
Just be confident and it's fine. And to be honest, people are probably not analyzing all the little things as much as you think they are.
And is that situation the same as this now?
No, no, definitely not. I'm way more confident now. And I definitely stress about the small things much less.
And can you say that to yourself now? Because
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
How does it feel?
It's great. It's so much less stressful. It's like weight has just gone. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, so whenever you're feeling with this imposter syndrome, go with this approach. Find specific situation, be real.
Yeah.
And just like tell yourself, what would you like tell yourself, just like if you are in that future and you are coming back?
Yeah, that's such a good point. I hadn't thought of that actually. Yeah, thanks. This is great.
Yeah.
It's very practical and logical.
All right. Any other questions?
Oh, yes, I have a question. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
So my question is for Lydia. You said at some point in your career you felt like you were not worthy for the job or something, if I got you right. So how did you deal with that? Because I feel like that's me right now. Like I'm afraid I'm not. Because early last year I knew nothing about technical SEO. In fact, even the other like content SEO, I barely just started learning it. And then September last year I got into technical SEO training, and today I happen to be employed in a technical SEO role. So sometimes I feel like I have that fear that I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy for the role and what have you. So how did you deal with that?
I still feel this way. I felt this way. Yes, I felt this way for years. I've always felt this way. It's gotten a little less bad, but I feel like this, and I think Adriana's advice was very good. So something that I've been doing now is like a set of things, right? I look at my results, at my numbers, and I'm like, numbers make sense. You are actually doing good. I keep track of my tasks. My tasks make sense. I'm actually doing good. I look back in time to when I felt like I was doing a bad job, and now I can look at my experience and be like, that fucking ruled, right? Um, but then I guess the last one that works for me is just if I was doing a bad job, my manager would tell me and would give me a chance to like course direct. And if they hired the wrong person for the role, I'm not the hiring manager. Not my fault.
And Navish, sorry for I'm not sure about pronunciation. Naf. I will call you Nafis.
Nafi, can you call me Nafi? It's fine.
Nafi, all right.
Yes.
So you said so strong, like sentence, I'm not worthy. And doesn't matter like if it's like in work or like in your personal life. Let's check that sentence, like I'm not worthy. Like, is it true?
It's work-wise. I just feel like my skills are not up to par, kind of, but it has nothing to do with my personal life. It's just in the skill aspect, right? Because it's even on this job that I kind of started doing practical stuff. I've been reading, taking courses, but it's not the same like when you're actually doing the practicing all of that on the job. So I just feel like maybe my skills are not yet there. I know they are not there actually, but yeah, I'm catching up and doing the little tasks I can and learning on the job, right?
Yeah.
There's just these I feel like I want to ask some questions. I feel like these are silly, but I still ask them anyways. Sometimes then I feel like am I even worthy for this role or something like that? I get that feeling a lot, but it has nothing to do with my personal life. And then sometimes I'm confused on, okay, I feel like maybe I should take a course, maybe I should do this to improve on my skills, but then I don't even know which one to go for. Like last time I wanted to take a Google Analytics course, I wanted to take another tech SEO pro course, but then I'm just everywhere. Like I don't know which one to take that will actually.
That is totally normal. I'm just saying, you see the difference, like I'm not worthy, and then like I don't have these skills, because it's huge difference. So you are worthy, you just don't have like enough technical skills. Are you agree on this?
Yes.
Because if we go with a like more accurate thing that actually you just like don't these technical skills, then we can make some action items around like, okay, today and like this month I don't have like these technical things, but I can make some actions like how I will get this technical skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Nafi, I will send you a course that's free. That's very good on technical SEO.
Oh, thank you very much, Lidia.
we already have one action actually. Watch this course. Because if you are taking like this analysis between like this sentence, then you are taking this power in yourself. Because if you're just thinking that you are not worthy, like all the power goes there and like you are so overwhelmed and stressed. But if you are analyzing this in the way like, okay, I just don't have like these technical skills, then you're taking this power, you're taking this responsibility and the change to make these actions to watch the course, find some insights like, okay, I will go with this, I will then implement like these things. And then you are feeling, how does it feel for you? Like once you know, like you are worthy, but you don't have like these technical skills. And I will watch Lydia's course that she sent me just right now. How does it feel for you now?
Well, I just feel like that will be one step ahead. Like that will be progress.
And all these small steps are leading you there. So whenever you have like this feeling that you're not good enough, you're not worthy, just take a little bit moment and see like, hey, is this just like true? Because it's not. Like I'm worthy, but I don't have like these technical skills. And then go like, hey, what is next that will lead you to be more technical person? Okay, maybe another course, maybe a new YouTube channel, maybe a new podcast. Okay, I will do that. And now you go and now you're growing. So just like small steps.
Thank you, Joanna.
Sure. All right. So thank you so much, all of you. Lydia, special thank for you.
Thank you for having me here. It was so nice talking to all of you.
I think this brought us so much value, and I'm very looking forward to actually people, when they watch it, they will take a lot of good insights, recommendations, advices, mindset things. So I'm so happy we did this. So yeah, thank you so much. Have a great the rest of the evening, and see you next Wednesday.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, Lydia.
Yeah.
How do I reach out to you? Can I reach out via Twitter or any other
You
platform?
can go on LinkedIn. I just sent you request, a friend
Oh.
request, a connection